Hi, I'm Matt, and on today's Matt's World DIY, we're stepping out of the kitchen and into the backyard where I have a construction project that I want to show you because it has been a journey. So in this video, I'm going to show you the process of the deconstruction as well as what a quality concrete slab looks like when it's being done right. So join me if you will, and let's get to it. I have a patio project. Now this patio was built as an addition to the original existing home. Now when the people who lived in this house before built that patio, they did not get a permit and they went on the cheap. And so whenever I bought the home, I ended up with a slew of problems that I'm going to cover in this video. One of the main things is that the cover of this patio was connected to the roof of the house. As the patio began to sink on the far end, it started pulling away from the roof of the house. So I had to have the whole thing demolished, and actually all of the concrete demolished as well and re-poured. So here's a view of my backyard under the patio. Doesn't look like it's too bad, but from the outside looking in, you can really tell that there are some problems happening. So here's a side view, and you can see very little bit by the angle of the picture how it's sinking on the far end. So after I connected with some contractors to do this job, I ended up clearing out the patio, removing the ceiling fan, and here's some of the early pictures of what I discovered under all of the mess. So we had to disassemble the patio by first taking out all of the skin of the underside. Then they started removing the shingles from the top of the roof, then the planking, the decking, and then as we went along, they did repairs on the roof of the house. Super amazing crew of people, and here's what I have. You can tell how the sinking on the far end of the patio is looking at that point. Well, here now we start concrete work, where the first day they got half of the patio out. The second day they got the rest of the slab out. Then they painted on the ground the dimensions, and then here's the first part of the framing. Then they poured some crushed limestone down and also dug the trench around for the perimeter beam of concrete. Then put in nice high quality rebar to frame out and to reinforce this concrete. You may have noticed metal mesh being used in other applications for a concrete slab. But if you want a really high quality slab, then using rebar in this way will get the job done right. Now, because this trench is 12 inches deep, there's additional height. So this concrete is about 14 inches thick on the perimeter beam. This is showing how the rebar is supported so that there is space under the rebar as well as on top of the rebar that the concrete will encompass or will envelop. And then also I just took some video of the framework of the concrete slab to show that they really reinforced this well so that there's not going to be any kind of shifting when they pour the concrete into the ground, into the form. Here's another close picture of how the rebar is attached to itself and to the perimeter beam. And also, I think I have photos here of how the slab is connected to the house as well, with these things called smooth dowels that go about 8 to 10 inches into right there. These are the smooth dowels that are coming out from that wood section toward the left. That's going into the foundation of the house, and that's attached to the rebar. And here's a picture that I have just showing a tape measure laid down that everything is laid out in a 12-inch grid. Now on the perimeter of the foundation that's being poured, you have much more reinforcement because there you have 3 bars of rebar until you get to that 12-inch mark. So this is going to be a highly sustainable, well-supported slab. This is showing how we're going to be pouring the concrete into the form. And here we have some of the tools of the trade. These guys were super amazing that came to work here. I had a really good time with them. This is called a boogie buddy or a buddy boogie boy or something like that. It carries the concrete from the truck to the backyard where we're going to pour the slab. Here the guys are helping protect the siding of the house, and there is the arrival of the concrete. It was such a really serious moment for me because it's like, okay, I think things are finally going to get done. And I was really, really excited. So the guy in the hat, his name is Joe, and he was super amazing and really fun to work with. And this was the concrete guy. I didn't really get a chance to talk to him, but we're pouring. This is actually the second pour of concrete into the bucket that's going to carry the concrete to the backyard. And he's making sure to pull all the concrete out of that, out of the, what do you call it, funnel or something, so it doesn't pour onto the street. And here comes Joe. This is his second load of concrete, and he is so skilled with this little buggy. It's amazing. And watch how he pours this stuff, and it just comes out. And see, I'm so glad they put the plastic on the house to help protect the house from any oversplashing. And the other guy who's pulling the concrete, his name is Neto. He was really nice as well. I cannot say enough good things about this crew of people. They were so super amazing and very easy to communicate with and to work with. And here comes Joe again. He was kind of having a good time being recorded. He's just a really good spirit. He's a nice guy. And so this is really just showing pour after pour of the concrete, and it's just really kind of satisfying to watch as the concrete slab starts taking shape. After this, we're getting, I don't remember how many dumps of concrete there were, but it was a lot. And this is, I don't know, some sort of scribe thing, I think is what they call it. And that helps do the initial leveling of the concrete. And at this point, we had 2 more pours. I thought that this was going to be the last one, but it ended up that we still needed probably about another half bucket of it to fill in the remainder of the concrete form for the patio. And the concrete guy was wondering as well, so that's why you saw him in the back of the video. And here's Joe, and I thought at this point, I was like, is he gonna pour that concrete onto Neto's legs? Because they were talking, and Joe has so much fun. He's like jokes around a lot, and I enjoy that. And there's Neto. I was like, is he gonna, you watch out, he's gonna pour it on you. And I don't know why he stood there. Maybe it was just kind of to help gauge how much concrete was coming out, but I just don't understand it. That's why this was not a DIY project for me. There's a whole lot more involved in it. There's a lot of physics, a lot of science, a ton of math, and then of course there's all the labor. But here they start working on the initial smoothing out of the concrete surface. And you know, I was looking at this going, wow, that's really fast, but it's like there's a whole lot of surface preparation. This thing was, I don't know what you call it, but it's a heavy piece of flat metal, and it helps to really compact the concrete down and to smooth the surface. And it's not going to be the final smoothing of the surface. I found out there's a whole lot of smoothing that goes on, but it really does a pretty good job. I would almost be satisfied with just that. Well, here Neto is taking a bullnose edge trowel, and he is cutting into the concrete to form the finished edge of the concrete. So instead of it being just like this squared off top around the corner, that bullnose thing rounds off the edge, and it makes it look really nicely finished. And then he's using his trowels to do another smoothing of the surface of the concrete. And that's just another very satisfying thing to work with. And it's funny because Joe had talked about this as he compared it to, it's like icing a cake. You do your smoothing, and then you're going to smooth it again, and then you have to watch out for this or that. But I was like, yeah, I can relate to the icing of the cake. Okay, and so this is it, and we're waiting a little bit of time for it to set, and that whitish kind of glaze on the top, that's what Joe called, I think it's the milk, and that's something that surfaces up to the top. And here we're removing the very first frame, and look how nice that is. Talk about satisfying. That's another very satisfying shot where you see how the concrete poured exactly up to the board. And then here we're using they're using a horse-haired broom to give it a broom finish on the top. That's going to allow for some traction control. It's so that the concrete is not super slick and slippery, as well as it helps give it a nice uniform finish on top, as you can see here. This was an incredible job. These guys worked so hard. I just cannot say enough good things about them. And the heat was terrible, but they worked and worked and worked and got the job done. I will tell you, if you're having something like this done, just have patience. Eventually it'll get done. You have to work with the elements and everything. And this is what I have at this point. So that's my patio project as it is today. There is a whole lot more to come, so I hope you stay tuned. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also check out some of my other DIY projects I have on my DIY playlist. I'll see you next time.